But for many reasons, we've chosen to conduct this meeting virtually as opposed to physically, to save us money, but also taking into consideration the fact that so many of our members are busy with other activities, but it is good to have everybody present who is with us today. Before we start, Mr. Kutsia, I note there was an apology from Minister Burdell and also the HOD. Are there any other apologies from your side that you're aware of?
Morning, Chair. Morning, members. Chairperson, no other apologies.
Okay, thanks very much. Can we then just quickly begin by introducing the members who are online? My name is Dave Bryant. I'm the Standing Committee Chairperson. Members, you are free to introduce yourselves as well. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. I'm Leon van Wyk, member of this committee.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning to the officials and the HOD present on the platform. My name is Noko Masipa. I'm the member of this particular committee. Thank you very much, Chair.
Good morning, Chair. I'm Derek Wessels, member of this committee. Thanks.
Good morning, Chairperson. I'm Beauty Stoffels, and I'm a member of the committee.
Good morning, Chairperson. Grant Marais, and I'm a member of this committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, members. That is everybody as far as I can. Oh, we've got another member. Member Adams.
Morning, member.
Member Adams present. All right, so that is all our members. Colleagues, today is the last of our formal sort of standing committee meetings. We will have two more meetings or two more sessions, the one being a visit to the Carbados-Kraal landfill site, and the other, obviously, our succulent workshop, which is taking place on the 18th of August, which proves to be, I'm sure, going to be a very exciting and enlightening experience for everybody. Before we move on to that, though, I just want to give a brief overview of today's meeting. We have two briefings scheduled. The first is a briefing by the Department of Local Government on the report on the status of municipalities for the first quarter from April to June, as well as an update on the status of the Section 47 report for 2024 and 2025. The second briefing we will have from 10:45 until 12:15 after a little coffee break will be a briefing by the Department of Local Government on the status of induction and training of new councillors at municipalities in view of the upcoming local government elections. I would like to welcome all of the officials who are present today from the Department of Local Government. As mentioned, we do have an apology from HOD Paulser, and as I understand, Dr. Kralen will be standing in and leading the delegation and the presentation. There are quite a number of officials who are joining us today on the virtual platform. So I'm not going to go through every one of them, but I am now going to hand over to Dr. Kralen, who will take us through the first of those two reports, after which we will have an opportunity for discussion and inputs. So Dr. Kralen, you're most welcome, and over to you.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, members. Chair, if you can just tell us...
Sorry, you're quite soft, Dr. Kralen. I don't know if it's your...
No, it's my voice, Chair. Let me speak up a bit. Is that better?
No, I think it's your microphone. Member Masipa, can you just say a couple of words, please? Just speak so I can hear the volume.
Can you hear me, Chair?
Yes, you see now your volume is definitely louder. Dr. Kralen, just try again.
But she's muted.
She was.
Okay.
She's unmuted now.
Good morning, Chair and members. Is that better for you to hear?
It sounds like it's getting progressively better.
Better.
Good morning, Chair and members. Is that better for you?
Yeah, we can hear you. Members, are you comfortable with that level? Is that all right?
It's
still
quite
low,
faint, Chair.
but
It
it's
is
fine.
It is quite faint. Member Stoffel, you put your hand up. Were you going to have an input there?
Yes, for me, it's too soft. I'm a disabled person.
Okay, no, that's fine. I'm sorry about this, Dr. Kralen. I just want to make sure that everybody can hear your presentation because it's so important.
No, that's all good, Chair. I'm just wondering, are you able to hear now?
Yes, that's definitely getting a little bit better.
Okay, I'll just...
There we go. That's. I think we're there. We go. We're much better. Okay, back to you.
I'll just project my voice. Can everyone see the presentation, Chair? Because then I'll just put off my camera.
Yes, we can see it. That's perfect.
Okay. Thank you, Chair and members. You have requested us to do a briefing on Section 47, as well as the status of local government. We've also included the training aspect as part of the presentation, but if you want to take a break, that's fine with us. You can just indicate such. I think just in terms of background, these are two reports. Obviously, one is an oversight picture. That's the Section 47. And the other one is a current report. Now, for us, these are both important instruments because the one gives us a complete view of local government with regard to a specific financial year, whereas the other one gives us current information. So you can see on this slide, the one is legislated, the Section 47, and the other state of local government is not a legislated report, but we normally do it so that we are able to inform the support that municipalities require of us. The Section 47 is tabled 12 months after the year end. Thus, the data is dated. And you can see that it is across 7 KPAs and all 30 municipalities, whereas the State of Local Government report is from April to June of this financial year. And we've just tried to give you a timeline here so that there's an understanding of the difference between the two. To try and assist with what is contained in the Section 47 of 2024-5, we've just done a bit of an analysis because it also informs us as to whether our municipal sector is on the right track and whether we need to pay further attention to specific elements. There are 30 municipalities that have been assessed. Of the 30, 21 have clean audits, and that was the first in South Africa. 9 obviously had findings or other matters that came up. 94.5 billion was spent in terms of operating revenue. That was 8.7% up from the previous financial year, and 81.5% capital spend, and that was up from 75.4% in the previous year. And this is just the capital expenditure. You will note that the Treasury benchmark for capital expenditure is 95%. For us, this is quite important that most of our residents retain access to water, sanitation, electricity, and refuse removal. The challenges we find are concentrated in a few municipalities if we do the analysis. Obviously, the results from our perspective are strong, but we are still concerned about persistent challenges in some of our municipalities. And therefore, we continuously go back to our monitoring and evaluation framework and our support to see whether we are at all able to improve on those every year. 3 of our municipalities currently are under formal recovery. These are Theewaters, Kannaland, and Beaufort. And you will see that in terms of the audit findings, we've listed them qualified for a second year, disclaimer for a third year, and then unqualified with findings. And obviously, that's why they're under financial recovery. The apparent systemic risks for us is that there are 24 of 30 municipalities that did not meet the 95% capital spend in the province. The weak ward committees were in Kannaland and Theewaters, and then 2 of the 30 had Kannaland a disclaimer and Laingsburg an adverse audit opinion. So the provincial response and emerging risks obviously is basically targeted at any of these challenges. And we try and have a differentiated approach because each of our municipalities are unique and different, while we try and address the emerging risks in each of the next cycles of support. These are the differentiated support mechanisms that we've put in place, and they're not limited to this. But there's a financial recovery and Section 154 support plan for those that really are at risk. We then have joint technical integrated municipal engagements with our Treasury colleagues, as well as our environmental affairs and development planning colleagues, to really at a technical level see what the challenges are. Then we have our joint district and metro approach, which is more at a catalytic level to see how we can unlock the economy across the province. And then we obviously, from our mandated perspective, focus on governance and capacity building. For example, we've got transversal capacity building, such as the seasonal school for councillors. Then there are obviously emerging or continuation of risks. And we say continuation because, for example, the bulk infrastructure lag is a continuation for us because it's quite costly. Municipalities don't necessarily have the budgets, and they also still have to deal with operation and maintenance, which makes it a little more difficult. And then obviously there's revenue sustainability, which is made a little more complex with regard to the current water and energy challenges in municipalities. And therefore many of our residents are going off the grid, which makes revenue sustainability an issue. The scarce specialist skills remain a challenge, not just because of the vacancies in terms of the CFO and engineering, but we'll talk a little bit to the challenges in the institutional space going forward. And then one of the big issues that we're trying to focus on currently is data quality. Now, we know that National has brought out a Circular 88 on non-financial data, which is not audited at the moment. But this circular doesn't necessarily speak to the indicators that we as a province feel are necessary and where we are as a province to inform our support. But we will continue engaging national and trying to influence that process as well. For us, the bottom line is that we want top performing institutions, not just as a province, but also at our municipalities. And this we feel is managed through concentrating on the risks through targeted, differentiated support. We also just wanted to inform you on the section 131.2, which the MEC has a determination on, and the measures that we're putting in place with regard to that. The MEC's determination is that we need to have continuous engagements with municipalities to ensure that the Auditor General's issues are addressed in collaboration with Treasury. And these are shown by sustained, unqualified and clean outcomes from our perspective. These are requiring particular attention, Kaneland, and we've just listed under each of them what the audit finding has been. Laingsburg, City of Cape Town, Bito and Prince Albert, Theebaters and Knysna, and these are the additional ones. The measures we've instituted is together with Treasury. There is an integrated municipal support plan, which we've spoken to before, not just time engagement, but also strategic integrated municipal engagements. Then there are audit action plans that are vetted, and these are on the National Treasury enabled system, so anyone can have a look at that. And then the annual financial statement reviews and audit steering committees are in place, and Treasury ensures that there are pre-closure reviews and weekly provincial steering committees on this. And then our focus very much is on UIFW, ICT and remuneration because of the AGSA's renewed focus on these elements. And obviously we want to curb the UIFW in the province, the irregular, unauthorized and fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Right, so that is the section 47 report, and that was, you just wanted a status report on that. That is our status report on the section 47. We would next want to just take you through the status of municipalities for Q1, which is April, May and June. And we just want to land the slide because we always just have to remind ourselves why we are doing what we are doing as a province. We obviously want performing municipalities. And for us, that means accountable leadership in terms of governance, transparent decisions, effective oversight, in terms of service delivery, water, electricity, sanitation, roads and waste management and reliable services. And then obviously economic growth, and the whole provincial strategic focus is on the G4J, the growth for jobs. And that obviously is unlocked through infrastructure development. So it's about the investment climate, business confidence and job creation. So for us, municipalities exist to deliver on what residents expect from local government. And residents expect reliable services, transparent governance, and economic opportunities. And therefore, we'll speak a little later to a dignified life for all, which is one of the visions that we've got for our province. So for us to be able to achieve this, it means we need to continuously monitor so that we inform the support needed and hopefully that we land the support and we address the needs that we've identified. So this for us is a continuous loop, and we have had conversations internally currently to make sure that we improve our evaluation of the findings and better inform the support for the next financial year. So we are currently looking at a renewed draft monitoring and evaluation framework and better systems to put in place with regard to that. So monitoring and evaluation, just basically we collect, analyze the performance, we identify trends, gaps and challenges, and then we prioritize municipal support. Then we engage our municipalities and stakeholders. We discuss the challenges and the evidence we found, and then we agree on the actions and the support. And then the support and capacity building is implemented. We provide tailored support. We strengthen capacity and skills where we see it's not landed. And then we continue monitoring the progress and the impact. So as we've said, our goal is to strengthen governance, build resilience, and ensure that the citizens of Western Cape receive quality services. So unfortunately, support doesn't always have the impact we wanted. and therefore we've also had to put measures in place when support fails to achieve that which it should. And therefore we also have interventions and investigations in the province. In terms of investigations, we've got 2 currently that are active in Beaufort and Central Karoo. And then in terms of 139, we've already spoken to the 3 in Beaufort, Kannaland and Theewater. But we also just wanted to highlight that in terms of Knysna, we have requested our National Department of COGTA to develop a framework for interventions, because we feel that we need to know exactly when we've reached a benchmark and an intervention could actually be implemented. We just also wanted to highlight that currently in Knysna, we have received allegations of fraud and corruption, and in line with our statutory obligations, we've referred it to the Hawks for further investigation. So now we just want to go and share with you the findings and support per area of focus, and the areas of focus is with regard to our monitoring pillars. The first one is municipal governance and administration, and these sit across various units. It's municipal governance, it's district local performance monitoring, and it is municipal support and capacity building. The senior management positions currently in the province in this quarter, there were 90% that were filled, 27 of 30. 89% of the Section 56 managers were filled, that's 125 of 141 posts. And therefore the provincial average is 152 of 171 posts, it's 89%. In terms of the gender profile, 80% are male and 20 female. The challenges I referred to previously that are really, and I really want to just focus on the long term, these challenges are definitely going to increase our challenges to get the relevant appointments in municipal manager and Section 56 appointments. And it is structural. The first is the upper limits for senior managers. And there was really a delay from the National Minister in publishing the upper limits notice. And in view of that, our MEC declared an IGR dispute. And because of the IGR dispute declared, the National Minister published the upper limits notice on the 18th of December 2025. This was a replacement notice. A replacement notice was published on the 14th of April 2026. And our concern is that this is for 24-25. We're not even talking about 25-26 currently. The other concern we've got is around minimum competence regulations. There are prescribed minimum requirements made, and this makes it very challenging when we want to get suitably qualified senior managers. There's a higher education qualification that's required, that's an NQF level 8, and work-related experience of 7 years, 5 years middle management and 2 years senior. And as soon as a municipality reaches a higher threshold, which means they've got annual budgets exceeding 1 billion CPI adjusted, then it's very difficult to attract suitable candidates. We have raised this with National Treasury because it is in terms of their legislation. We also just wanted to highlight suspensions and dismissals, which we monitor. And if you look at the screen, we've got 2 of them. We've listed the municipality, we've listed the designation, and then we've listed the status of the suspension and the dismissal. So that you just have a look at where the municipalities are. It's within the municipal space. And this is the second slide, Peter Oudtshoorn. For us, the common thread is that most cases involve allegations of financial or procedural misconduct. Currently, they are with investigators that are appointed and the proceedings are ongoing, and therefore we continue just keeping our eye on this. So in total, the disciplinary proceedings, you'll see there have been 26 total cases, 22 that have led to a hearing, and then 4 have led to dismissal or suspensions. Right, so let's come to the municipal institutional challenges. For us, there are 6 institutional capacity pressures that constrain municipal performance and impact on the success with the support that we're trying to provide. The one is leadership instability. And here we've just given a explanation of it. High vacancy rates, delays in appointing qualified senior managers, and then obviously it weakens our governance and it disrupts continuity. The next is the electoral cycle risks. Obviously the 2026 elections are around the corner, and then the MM's fixed term contracts will expire, and that means we'll have to intensify the leadership instability and our monitoring of such. Then the grant funding flows are a challenge because of the financial years between province and municipalities that differ. And therefore, sometimes it creates bottlenecks and repeated rollovers. And that limits the timely impact that we need to make. Then there are structural transitions. These are the reassignment of functions. And currently in the province, that's the roads function. It obviously creates staff transfer issues, revenue and change management complexities, which we're currently trying to assist our municipalities with. And then there's the political administrative tension. This is political instability that undermines the progress that sometimes we try to achieve, because for support to work, we need a leader to drive the support in the municipal space. And it's very difficult to do so if you have consistently a change in the municipal leadership. We just wanted to flag our ICT governance challenges because for us, municipal ICT is becoming a crucial enabler for good governance, for service delivery and accountability, because it cuts across all the municipal services. It actually creates, and I know it may be a term that people feel is just this time of the year kind of term, but it does make good business sense for municipalities. So for us, what we've realized is that there are aging infrastructure, so there's outdated hardware, networks strain the operations. There's cybersecurity gaps, and I think this has been in the media for quite some time. And we are trying to see if we can work closer with our provincial CEI to support our municipalities. There's skill shortages in the ICT environment, and obviously most of our ICT colleagues have gone to the private sector. It just is far more lucrative for them. There are connectivity constraints, and specifically when we're talking about our far-reaching areas such as the Central Karoo. Data governance is an issue because of the way in which data is governed, and it's quite crucial if we need this to really inform our decision-making at all levels. And then there are funding pressures. So it's not necessarily that budgets are made available to make sure that municipal ICT is enabled. In terms of provincial support, I think we do just need to raise the challenges with regard to our institutional knowledge that are exiting. I mean, I do think you are aware of some of the challenges currently with regard to filling of positions. So between the capacity that we have, we sometimes have quite a few areas of work that we need to focus on. We work closely with Provincial Treasury, so we share their responsibility, and we are trying to align our Section 154 plans to their plans. And then the staff regulations are putting quite a lot of pressure on us, because we believe that if we really want to ensure impact in the municipal space in terms of consequence management, performance management must be cascaded down to all levels in the municipal space. And we're not necessarily seeing a focus on that in the municipal space currently. So for us, the priorities are hands-on support, as we've done in NISNA. We have to coordinate and facilitate support from all our sector departments, make sure that the right person assists our municipalities when they need it, refine and review our support plans. And then obviously we've got a local government election strategy currently that we're focusing on to ensure that we are prepared for the elections across all our sector departments and internally. These are just the municipalities that we've got 154 plans in place for and operational support plans. And people always ask, but what are operational support plans for us? Some of our municipalities only want support. They kind of like prefer not being seen as needing targeted support, but they are willing to have support from province, and therefore we provide that in terms of operations. We also just wanted to flag that we do provide financial support to municipalities, and I think previously in a presentation that I did do, I explained the due diligence process that we do have in place with regard to our grant funding. We've got a standard operating procedure in place. We've got a committee that oversees this. We've got very specific criteria that we use and we prioritize in terms of the needs that we feel are important in addressing service delivery in our municipalities. This is the allocation that we gave in the 24-25 year, and this was just for the service delivery and capacity building and interventions grants. There are other grants, obviously, in the space, and this was for the 25-26 financial year, and we've also given you an allocation by region. We are sometimes asked, but why is municipality X or Y not getting an allocation? We obviously, in this financial year, we sent out a circular. Municipalities could actually tell us what they needed, and therefore, based on that, the allocation was assigned, and also in terms of the project managers and the engagements internally in the IGR space. I think what is important and is becoming quite a crucial element in the country, specifically from Treasury side, is indigence and the policies and the amount of funding that is needed in this space, and it also alludes to the infrastructure that we require. We are responsible for compliance with the National Indigent Framework. So we basically use the policies in municipalities and we compare them to the National Indigent Framework and see if they comply. Now you remember that in terms of the Indigent Framework, municipalities are required to give 6 kiloliters of water, 50 kiloliters of electricity, and free sanitation and refuse. While we are at this, I just want to inform you that we've done some research on a basket of services in this regard, and we have found that this is very, very low. So we are collaborating and consulting with our sector departments currently to see if we can't change the amount of water to 15 kiloliters and the amount of electricity to between 75 and 100 kilowatts of electricity. For us, it's about a life for all, a dignified life for all. Obviously, we've got to look at how we then inform the funding of it, and therefore we've got to look at more innovative ways of funding the infrastructure that goes with it. Right, the assessment in progress at the moment, we've done 7 of 25, and we provide recommendations to those municipalities that we've assessed, and we have found that most of them do, use the guidelines that we've given and improve their policies. This is just a quarter under review. We've assessed them, and this is the quarter that's going to ahead. That's for July to September. We just also thought to speak to the climate change and resilience because it's taking quite a lot of our attention currently in province and across the country, we believe. So in terms of climate change, there is the El Nino Southern Oscillation, ENSO, which you most probably have heard of. This is a natural climate pattern of warmth, warmer than average ocean temperatures in the central and eastern equatorial Pacific, and weakened, and then you also have weakened trade winds with that. These just mean that there are global weather shifts. It alters jet streams and rainfall distribution. It can create droughts and in certain regions like Southern Africa and Australia. So what would be the impact on the Western Cape? It could lead to hotter, dry summers, a shorter winter rainfall season, more intense rainfall events, extended dry periods, complex wind patterns, and then also it could lead to major impact. And we're expecting this around December 2026. So it's this year still. Then I would like to speak to our other pillar, municipal infrastructure and service delivery. These are the risks from our perspective, but also we've indicated the potential impact and the provincial response for you. Our provincial response goes through various IGR fora, such as the JDMA. We've got alternative blended finance, our CIDF. We've got water and energy resilience. These have got various IGR structures, Section 154, the FRPs, and then we're also focusing on asset management and anti-vandalism. I think we'll just leave all of those for you. I think one of the big ones that we would want to focus on here is the financial constraints. Everyone is always saying that there's enough finances in the country. It's just the way in which it's used, but it's also the way in which it's planned in the municipal space. And we are trying to see, in terms of the planning, how we can assist our municipalities to better plan so that when the funding actually lands in their space, they are ready to use it. And I think that's one of the major elements that we feel we still need to focus on. Our vandalism strategy will be launched next quarter, and we're quite proud of the work that the team has done in that regard. So the strategic provincial focus, and this is only because our national colleagues have not really been able to make a dent in terms of water and energy as we would expect of them in terms of the mandate that they've got. And therefore, we've had to assist our municipalities to ensure that water security and resilience is addressed. The same with energy, and then also the same with CIDF. Now, when we're talking water resilience, it's about augmenting and diversifying supply. It's about reducing non-revenue water. And it's about ensuring that we've got water-sensitive planning in place. In terms of energy, it's energy migration and security, cost-reflective tariffs. And this is a challenge when it comes to our citizens, because obviously the budget also only goes so far. So there's a lot of communication that is needed when we're talking about this. And then also alternative and solar energy. And we obviously, for example, HESEQA, we would want to make sure that those kind of learnings are shared with the other peers in the municipalities. And then our CIDF funding, we're quite excited about this. We've done quite a lot of work at the moment around infrastructure finance access. Unfortunately, this does take time because it's quite a lengthy process to go through all the hoops to actually get the funding in the market, whether it's international markets or current markets. Just in terms of the water resilience strategy, we are quite far with the implementation. This was just our roadmap. At the moment, and we can share this with you, I see there's an annexure. I don't think we've shared the annexure with you. We've just done a presentation to the integrated energy, where we've shared our current status with them. We have got town-based water implementation plans in place for each of the towns in the province. And we obviously have then engaged with our various sector departments to make sure that we align our grant funding and that we sequence our grant funding. And where there's a gap, we are then also using our CIDF funding for planning around that. This was just the funding that we were provided, both ourselves, agriculture and environmental affairs and development planning, to ensure that we actually implement the provincial water resilience strategy. And we obviously monitor this on a quarterly basis through the IGR structures in place. It's both a technical water resilience committee, a strategic water resilience committee, and then we report to the Integrated Energy and Water Council. This is our Municipal Energy Resilience Program. We've spoken to HESEQA in a previous presentation to yourselves. I think what is exciting for us is the September 2026 when we the commissioning of this project is being targeted. So it'll be up and running, and I think that's quite something. And I would really ask you to go and have a look at it. It is quite something to have a look at in person. What we want to focus on in terms of the energy resilience currently, and this is this element, obviously you know the key benefits of it, is our additional capacity. So in terms of the grant funding, we are really looking at entry-level positions, and that differs from municipality to municipality. So it's from an intern to an actual energy specialist to assist our municipalities, because this is quite a new, especially the green energy is quite a new area of work, and we therefore want warm bodies in our municipalities to assist. We then obviously also focusing on master plans, cost of supply studies in line with what NERSA requires. And then what we talk to consistently in our CIDF work is preparation for a project to actually go to market. So preparing projects so that you can actually use the funding for it. And then we obviously have a pool of energy specialists that assist municipalities across various areas. Right, this is just the MIG funding, and this is a national grant. We are responsible for ensuring that it lands in the municipal space, that we're ready for it, and that we spend. And I really applaud the team and the municipal team, because we've had 99.78% spend. And this is quite significant if you look at the amount. It's 469.3 million that was spent on 87 projects across 21 municipalities and the 5 districts. The allocation by the sector, water and sanitation, is 41%, roads and stormwater 30%, sports and recreation 16%, and then solid waste 7%. The other fund that we have a monitoring and support function on is the Integrated Urban Development Grant. However, this is just given to 3 of our municipalities, which is Drakensberg, Stellenbosch, and George. The allocation is 201.7 million. There are 35 projects in the pipeline, and you can see the excellent spend by our secondary cities, 100, 198 for Stellenbosch. Mostly it's water and sanitation focused and roads and stormwater focused. And then this is just in terms of our sustainable infrastructure development and finance facility, which we've also spoken about to yourselves before. I think what is quite crucial for us is at the moment we've got 3 MOUs in place for Saldanha, for Overstrand, and for Swartland. These are the 7 water projects, so it still links to our provincial water resilience strategy. And then obviously there are other discussions at the moment. We are looking at a conversation with Treasury at the moment and actually reaching out to the private sector and seeing how we can engage the private sector in terms of CIDF. Then what is most important, obviously, for us is our citizens. And therefore, we really need to promote citizen interface, so that's public participation. And these are our programs to improve citizen interface. But there are also challenges that constrain these. So the programs are civic education programs that are rolled out across our municipalities, client service charters that have been developed, ward committee training, support for public participation, and ward committee policy development. Ward committee meetings are not convened as per the schedule, and this is a challenge for us. The sector geographical report back meetings that are not convened by ward committees is a challenge. Ward councillors that are not convening quarterly report back meetings to communities remain a challenge. And then ward committees functionality reports submitted late or not at all by municipalities remain a concern. This is the access. So citizens obviously continue to access government services and participate through our outreach and civic education. This is the amount of two-song outreaches that we've had, 825 citizens in George at Pakalsdorp between 10 to 11 July. And then these are the amount of services accessed, 488 in Beaufort on the 24th of June. This obviously excludes the SASSA statistics, which are the highest. Then in terms of civic education, we've had some Langeberg, Bonnievale, and then also in Overstrand with Willelite and Kleinmond. This is the access to services in terms of our two-song program, 1 million plus services accessed, 22 two-song service centres, 14 satellite centres, And then 11 totally, two-song outreach is planned for 26-27. These are the challenges that remain: occupational health and safety, quarterly reports not submitted or late, and then the disability access. So in conclusion, this is our map when we look at our monitoring of our province. We are obviously concerned about Knysna. The orange ones are satisfactory from our perspective. They are at risk and they've got support plans in place and very targeted support that we give them. And those in green are doing well from our perspective. So in conclusion, we obviously have a coordinated approach, and therefore we've got very specific IGR structures in place to ensure this. The one is a provincial monitoring and support forum, which all our provincial sector departments are involved in. And this assists us in strengthening our monitoring approach and our support approach. We also have a provincial capacity building committee in place that just makes sure that we don't duplicate and we are aware of what the other one is doing when it comes to capacity building training initiatives across the province. And then we've also got a joint working group in place between ourselves, Provincial Treasury, and Environmental Affairs and Development Planning. And this specifically is around compliance. It's about making sure that our legislation processes the one flows into the others. Because for us, it's a value chain. We must ensure that we are as effective as we currently can be. Going forward, we obviously know that there is room for improvement as always, because not all our municipalities are at 100%. And therefore, we are looking at better data collection, clearer accountability in terms of roles for oversight and support, strengthened indicators, and then our digital reporting tools going forward. For us, it's better data, better decisions, and then better targeted support to municipalities. So, Chair, that is what you wanted to take care of in the first round. I don't know if you want me to continue.
Thanks very much, Dr. Kralin. No, I think we can take some questions and some inputs on that presentation, because I do think that the first one and the second one are quite different in terms of what they deal with and the reports. I do think there were quite a few things that you spoke about that have come out that I'm sure members would like to ask some further questions on or have some inputs. So members, I am going to then give an opportunity for questions. We'll take rounds of 3, fastest finger first. So please raise your hand and we will then deal with those questions. So any member who would like to raise, or you have member Stoffel first. Any other members? Member Masipa. And member Murray. All right, we'll take those 3 first. Member Stoffel.
Thank you, Chairperson. Am I audible, Chair?
Yes, you are audible.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Let me appreciate the presentation, and once again, good morning, everyone on the platform. Let me first thank the department for good work so far. Yes, any department will never be perfect. But I think in the Western Cape, we've got a very good culture to say we strive to be perfect. And that gives me more, it motivated me more in terms of delivering services to our people and still to be relevant where we are. Thank you very much for that. But I want to go to the presentation itself. And my focus was on the 21 clean audits and 9 not clean. Yes, we appreciate the hardworking municipalities. And those.
Sorry, remember there's a noise. It sounds like a
Masip.
washing machine or an airplane or something.
It's Comrade Masipa.
Oh, is it? Member Masipa, can you just turn your Here we go. Sorry about that, Member Stoffel.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'm just worried about the non-clean audits. The municipalities that couldn't achieve the clean audits. Chair, if we look for these past 2 years that we are in this committee, there's some municipalities, instead of getting better, it's getting worse. And that worries me. It worries me in this sense that we as a committee and we as the department, we could manage to identify these critical irregularities that is happening in these kinds of municipalities, but we don't act. There's no consequence management from the department. We always rely on the hopes and this, but there's no internal processes in terms of consequence management. Then, Chairperson, my second worry in these municipalities, in terms of the support plan for these municipalities, there is, I appreciate that at least I saw that from Beaufort West. Beaufort West is now gone from phase 1, at least they are in phase 2 now. When you go to Canaland, you will see from September last year, it's almost a year now, there's no indication which phase are they now. Is there improvement? Is there not improvement? Are we just doing things for the sake of doing? Knowingly, we don't care about the citizens of that specific municipality. Then the other one is, Chair, I'm worried. The issue of NISNA, it was being discussed, interventions was being done. After that, NISNA, and I think Oudtshoorn, a huge improvement was there, even now on the recent audit reports. But still, NISNA become a fact. I don't know on what within NISNA is still a problem. Because when we say NISNA, we must be specific. Where is the improvement in NISNA and where is not improvement? We cannot generalize when we talk. Oudtshoorn and Cederberg, I think it's one of the most municipalities that could achieve 2024-2025 clean audits or improve audits. We must also touch on that so that we can see what is the good work that was being done there that can maybe filter to another municipality. So when it comes to monitoring and evaluation, I would encourage, Chairperson, the issue of inter-support with municipalities. If Mossel Bay got a good accountant, that accountant should then be asked to go and assist within NISNA. Tell them the good story of Mossel Bay, they tell the good story for the people of NISNA to adopt that culture, to do the right thing. So that we can enhance and strengthen within the capacity that we have. And for that municipalities that don't have a capacity to assist those municipalities and not just relying on the department itself, because these municipalities, they are too many for the department itself. We must be honest. There are too many for this one department, because the department also got a shortage of staff. But if we start to utilize and look into other municipalities, look for the boffins in these various departments to assist in other municipalities, maybe we can then make inroads in terms of the capacity building issue. Then I will go further, Chair. I'm not going to criticize this. I'm going to make proposals to assist the department where I can see it's needed. Then in terms of the scarce skill, there's a high level of vacancies also. And I will balance that with the scarce skills. Chair, this issue is coming also for a very long time. I understand that that people is coming, people is going for greener purchases and all those kind of things. But I think the department should look into a method how they can keep these people. How they can keep these people if our policies or our have to be reviewed in terms of benefits, in terms of this, because in any way, these people are highly qualified people, people who went to school for whatever skills they have obtained. So the department should look into methods how to keep those skills within the department. And then also effective oversight. When is the oversight within municipalities effective? And if not effective, how do we as a department make it effective? I will then pause there, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you very much for those insights and inputs, Member Stoffel. Member Masipa.
Chair, thank you very much. Let me also say thank you to Dr. Grelen for the presentation. Initially, when I greeted this morning, I said HOD, so meaning that maybe Ms. Grelen, they say from my lips to God's ears, so you probably, your stars are aligned. Chair, I've got a few remarks and with obviously question mark around those remarks first. And I'm just gonna try and go through the presentation. You know, there is a slide that talks about when support fails to connect, interventions and investigations follows. And obviously the municipalities that are listed are Beaufort West, Kanaland, Theewaterskloof and Knysna. What is concerning there, Chair, is the fraud allegations and corruption in Knysna, and this has been referred to the Hawks for further investigation. Is Dr. Grelen really maybe willing to share with us regarding these allegations and the fraud allegations? That's the first point. And Chair, I'm really very concerned, and I don't know how to put this, but with what we are seeing here, Chair, is probably a need for oversight. But obviously, you know, I think the big question for us as a committee is that municipalities obviously has got political oversight. And I think the question is whether the councillors or the committees within the local municipalities are strong enough in terms of their oversight role. And I think maybe that's something that Dr. Grelen can also comment, because the areas that are identified here that are problematic can, in my view, should be handled by the oversight committee from the municipality or the council. That's that. The other issue that I'm picking up is on the total disciplinary proceedings, where Theewaterskloof is running ahead of the listed municipalities with 14. Is there maybe, you know, areas that we should be concerned about with regards to Theewaterskloof? If Dr. Grelen can just share with us as a committee, so that we can obviously, in our intervention and our recommendation, will be able to really provide the necessary recommendations in order to really cap that. The West Coast is 5 and Bergrivier, which I think that should be within the norms. The other issue that I have got, obviously the section 39 we dealt with. I just want to go to the next page that deals with provincial support. On that page of the provincial support, Chair, Dr. Greylings talks about institutional knowledge, that obviously there's a challenge in that regard, and obviously financial recovery concerns and lack of expertise in municipal staff regulation. I think really, Chair, the question is, the province obviously try and support in this area. Does the province obviously have the adequate capacity to really support in these areas? And if not, what does the province think that what is that needs to be done? My last point is on sustainable infrastructure development and financial facility program. Chair, this is a welcome and a breath of fresh air in terms of how the local government is trying to support its infrastructure through blended finance and so forth. I think my big question is around the ability of the municipalities to be able to repay, obviously, the debt that will be incurred through this blended finance, and whether, Dr. Greyling is willing to share with us in terms of the projections. And really here, primarily, the projection in terms of the cost of the project, and maybe, what will be the costs that will be passed on to the consumers, to the end users, and whether that is sustainable. Because, one of the issues that we are battling with is the socio-economic conditions in our country, where, unemployment is very high, and obviously the issue of being able to pay municipal rates and taxes, and ESCOM electricity is very high, and food prices are also quite high. So just maybe, if Dr. Greyling can talk to us about this sustainable infrastructure development and financial facility program, and as they model the blended finance support, we definitely, and this is not really to say we are against, the blended finance, but just maybe the cost implication, in the long run, it might be sustainable in terms of maintaining the infrastructure and ensuring that this infrastructure are able to deliver the services. But I think the question will be really primarily in terms of the end user being able to support. We have just seen the oil prices going up again, and then petrol prices going up. So cost of living is just getting out of hand. Chair, that's for now from my side. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Member Masipa, for those initial questions, and then also all your inputs. I think very valuable. Member Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to Dr. Greyling for the presentation. Dr. Chair, I almost said Doctor. I think I said Dr. Chair. Chairperson, I just want to raise my first concern is that the Minister is not present in today's meeting with this very important information being shared with us. No doubt that Dr. Greyling is to be able to reply to some of the questions, but it's also a question of accountability, and thought that the HOD is also not present, and I think it's important that that be noted.
Sorry, Member Murray, I don't want to interrupt you. Just for your information quickly, I see the HOD has now joined the meeting. I think he was a little bit delayed at the beginning, but he has now joined. So welcome, HOD Paulson. We will give you an opportunity as well to respond. Sorry to interrupt, Member Murray.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate that. Chairperson, my colleague and Ms. Beauty Stoffel, Member Beauty Stoffel, touched on consequence management. And I just want to raise my concern around the Kanaland municipality that has had a disclaimer audit for quite some time now, and the ineffectiveness in getting them out of that basic situation that they're in. And then perhaps that we have to look at other measures within, that's available to us to be able to hold this municipality accountable to the public and to Parliament. I want to also ask in terms of capital expenditure. I know that we have a benchmark of 95%. We are saying that our municipalities are doing well, and when we say our municipalities are doing good, it has to be compared and not just be an overall statement. If our municipalities in terms of capital expenditure spend does not achieve the benchmark, then we must be careful how we word that our municipalities are doing well. So we must contextualize when we say our municipalities are doing well in terms of, just these type of presentations. Now, capital expenditure drives future growth, but it also consists of two components, perhaps more, but the components will always be new infrastructure and then, of course, maintenance of existing infrastructure. Could we get an idea of the 75.4% in 2023-2024 financial year, what those two components are made of in terms of that 75%? And then, of course, 2024-2025, it was 81.5%. But those two components in terms of maintenance and then in terms of a new infrastructure. Then just my question on metros. Now, there was a note that by the Auditor General that they noticed a regression in terms of metros. I just wanted to know if the department has anything to present to this committee regarding the whether there should be a different model for metros. Metros are not able to, I think there's three things she pointed out: financial health, audit outcomes, and service delivery. Those three areas metros have been regressing on. Should we look at a different model for metros, perhaps a more devolved system of government within the metro? I just wanted to know if she has can give us something on that. Then just going back to capital expenditure, Mr. Chair, I forgot to ask the question regarding that, the additional question. What is the measure of support and assistance given to municipalities in terms of their capital expenditure spend? Is there something that they are doing, the department is doing, to address that particular problem, because they're failing in that regard? Mr. Chair, I think I'll stop there for now.
Thank you, Member Murray. HOD and Dr. Greyling, I'm going to hand over to you and your team, and you can take us through some of the questions that were raised. I think just in terms of Member Masipa's one on those corruption claims, I mean, I know he has mentioned just in terms of the detail. I'm sure you probably can't share too much, but what you can share would be I think very important for us to understand, but also whether or not you've received any feedback from the Hawks and if there are any planned meetings on that going forward. So HOD, I'll give you an opportunity first, and then you can maybe hand over to Dr. Greyling. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Chairperson, and I've listened to the questions. Just my apology, I'm in 3 different meetings. So I'm going to ask Sandra to go perhaps, and then I'll sweep the balance off, and I think it requires perhaps another perspective. But Sandra, if you can go ahead, please.
Thank you, HOD. I'd like just to thank Member Stoffel for her comments to try and assist us with the improvements. Yes, we are also very pro peer learning. And therefore, Provincial Treasury, for example, has a CFO forum in place, a Supply Chain Management Manager Forum. And on those forums, they try and share practices across municipalities, the similar way that our Infrastructure Forum is doing. We obviously, Member Stoffel, have to act within our legislative mandate. And as you know, in terms of the Constitution, even though we are interdependent, we are also separate in some way. We are supposed to cooperate. So we try our best with support. But as I emphasized during the presentation, leadership is crucial when it comes to actually landing support and making sure that we address the challenges that we are facing in municipalities. In terms of the scarce skills and the vacancies, yes, I think we've alluded to the upper limits challenge and the competence requirements. But province is at the moment trying to put in place a provincial skills development strategy. We previously have looked at a scarce and critical skills strategy, and we're working very closely with our sister departments in supporting municipalities that don't have those skills. But also in the same way, our municipalities have their own policies in place when it comes to their HR. So they would, for example, have retention, skills retention strategies in place, and they'll also have talent management policies in place. It is in line with their day-to-day. We also then note that when support fails in terms of intervention, unfortunately, with regard to the case in Knysna at the moment, due to the sensitive nature of it, we can currently not share any information. Member Masipa, unfortunately for that. We can, however, say that we've given consistent training to the councillors to assist them with their oversight roles. So I cannot comment on whether they're strong enough in their oversight role because we've given them training, so we would, at least implement what we've given them is the only thing that we can advise. In terms of tier waters, we have targeted support plans in place, and I think one of the big issues that we were very concerned about was the UIFW. And obviously, once again, that is something that needs to be investigated, and it is currently under investigation with Provincial Treasury. So that's also quite difficult to comment on at this stage. But that definitely is something that we need. And then obviously there have been suspensions there that have made it very difficult. I think the MM has just returned in July after suspension. So yes, there's definitely volatility in terms of the leadership in that municipality. In terms of whether we've got adequate capacity, we have identified specific positions in the department in terms of the staff regulations. We are quite far at the moment in terms of filling the posts. And we've also put in place a strategy where we're working with South African Local Government Association, SALGA, because they have a very specific role, and we try not to duplicate when it comes to staff regulations, because obviously municipalities also ask them for support when it comes to HR in that environment. I am just going to ask Marius just to comment on the SIDF question, as well as the capital spend from Member Marais. I note Member Marais in terms of how we word it, but we can say that we are the best spending province when it comes to capital spend across the country. And we are willing to give the information that you require around O&M and new infrastructure. We can make it available to the committee. But I'm just going to hand over to Marius to respond to the SIDF question and the capital spend.
Good morning, Chair and members. Okay, I will answer the first question in terms of the SIDF program. How are we sure that the private sector that we're trying to attract to come and invest in municipal infrastructure will indeed have the guarantee that the municipalities will be able to fund that or to repay those loans? So we go through a very extensive due diligence process through screening the municipalities, especially looking at the audit track record and obviously their financial position, as well as their ability to take on debt. So the current SIDF program is mainly focused on those sort of aspiring municipalities wants to become metros. So the ones that we're currently looking at is, like Sandra indicated, is Saldanha Bay Municipality, Swartland Municipality, and Ouestrand Municipality that is indeed example municipalities where we are 100% sure that there will be a guarantee that they will be able to refund it. The way that the program and the model has been established will actually look at bringing and putting these debt that the municipalities will want to take up over a much longer term than what the current practice are. So currently municipalities would maybe take up debt, say over a period of 3 or 4 years, normally within the term of, or 5 years, the term of office. But in terms of how we will be doing it, we will do it over the capital lifespan of that asset. So we talk about something like 15 and 20 years. As soon as you do that, the interest rate on that loan is reduced substantially. And that could obviously then be given through and given the municipality the ability to look at reducing the cost of providing those services to the consumers. Then in terms of the question on capital expenditure, within our program, we've got IGR platforms, 2 of them where we're meeting with the municipalities. On the one hand, we've got one that we call a Municipal Infrastructure Forum, where we actually share best practices. So we get municipalities that can share these best practices to come and present at that forum. And obviously that assists us to make sure that these municipalities are given the tools to see how we can improve their capital expenditure. Then also, like Dr. Greiling indicated, is that if we can improve on the planning, the chances of a municipality being able to improve on their capital expenditure will be really to a big advantage. And therefore, a big focus from now on to have these project pipelines for each municipality, and then to look at how do we prepare those projects so that once it reaches and gets to on the budget, that the municipality can immediately go out on tender. Then obviously we also, in conjunction with Provincial Treasury, provide supply chain support to ensure that we can assist and make sure that where there's stumbling blocks in terms of supply chain, that that specific assistance can be provided. Where we've got more targeted support, we even go as far as insisting the municipalities with writing their terms of references. And sometimes even we can sit on the spec or evaluation committees. I hope I've answered your questions.
Thank you, Chair. I don't know if HOD wants to come in after this.
Chairperson, let me in line. So let me also attempt to answer some of the questions. And I think Minister Brodel could adequately deal with some of the questions, particularly in relation to Canaland and Knysna. In actual fact, I'm sitting in a Knysna council meeting online, and you follow that meeting and how it goes and how councillors shout at one another, you would see why Knysna is not doing what we suggest they should do. But I've just sort of silenced the that council meeting. I don't have to sit in it, but it's important, given the work that we are doing in Knysna, get understanding of the dynamics in Knysna. Obviously also on a council level and what they are doing there. Just in terms of the audit outcomes. So between ourselves, the Provincial Treasury and the Department of the Premier, the Auditor General places responsibility on the 3 departments in relation to the coordinating ministries. And based on this coordinating ministries, the Auditor General gives us sort of advice and guidance, and asks us to focus on certain things in some of the municipalities. We also give them advice when they go audit and say, look at the following things in municipality X and municipality Y and so on, because we're also concerned. So if you can pick up that, raise that. So in terms of the coordinating ministries, as an outcome of the PFMA audits, the Auditor General will suggest that the 3 departments work collaboratively, which we do, and then focus on certain things, and then we do that. So we also work very closely with the Provincial Treasury in preparation of audit files to prepare municipalities to look at what are the repeat findings and to deal with that. So there's a coordinated approach to help municipalities with their audits, but also to prepare and help them for the next audit cycle. And we do that extensively. That, Chairperson, is one part of it. The other part that I think Minister Provincial should have spoken about is about the councils and the quality of the councillors coming through. So reference is made to Canaland. I can tell you about Canaland. Reference is made to NISA. I can tell you about NISA extensively. What my observation is in municipalities, so you have councillors, and councillors, I think one of the members also referred to councillor oversight. They do not exercise the oversight that they're supposed to do. They make unlawful decisions in council, and some of that lawful decisions goes in and said, listen, this is unlawful decisions. We then take it up with them, but they also then, based on that, make appointments in municipalities to help the unlawful activity and so on. And we take it on all the time. I can tell you now, the letters that we've written to municipalities say, but consider this. In NISA now, they've appointed a CFO. The CFO has been dismissed in one of the municipalities in the Eastern Cape, and that is for misconduct. NISA Council went to appoint the CFO, and there's law in terms of senior officials in municipalities being dismissed for financial misconduct. And we then raised it with the council and said, Council, are you aware that this person has been dismissed for financial misconduct and so on? And the council has said, no, they were not aware. They have not done that kind of due diligence in appointing the acting CFO and so on. And we've got confirmation from the municipality where the CFO has worked and where she has been dismissed, written correspondence from them to say, you know what, the lady has been dismissed for financial misconduct and so on. So regardless of council knowing that, council continues to do what they're doing. And if you talk about, I'll talk about Canaland in a moment, but if you talk about NISA, we have given NISA all the support we've got, that we could. Our engineers are working there on a daily basis, and that's part of our agreement to support them with the water, to support them with the sanitation, that the sewage doesn't overflow and run in the streets and so on. And we convene weekly and monthly meetings with NISA to help them. We are actually physically there, and it's not only with this department, but it's a department and other stakeholders in the province and the national department together and so on. Whether that's lots of other stuff like waste removal and so on. But NISA, the council, must be responsive to what we are doing there. And at times we find that the council is not responsive to what we are doing. They continue with some of the decisions that they make that are questionable, and we are saying we want to help you. We're going to NISA there again next week. But it's not at the lack of trying to support NIASA. It's not we're putting in the resources. We can give you the amounts that we are transferring for NIASA. But obviously what has emerged now, there's allegations of fraud and corruption. And that is now with the Hawks. So it is about where I'm sitting. It is about the quality of the councillor coming through and also the quality of the decision-making that council actually makes to say that it's lawful and it's compliant with law and so on. That's in relation to NIASA. Kannaland. I had a municipal manager last week in my office. Was it last week or the week before in my office? Where the municipal manager of Kannaland said, we're not going to implement the regulations in relation to the staff regulations and so on because this and that and that and that and the other. I said, no ways. You will implement it and you will be compliant with the law. So if you look at Kannaland, there's also allegations. If you look at Kannaland, they need to repay the debt to make use of the facility of Eskom. But if you compare Kannaland with some of the other municipalities, Beaufort West is paying what they should pay. They honor the agreement with the National Treasury in terms of the financial recovery plan. If you look at Matsikama, they are paying. If you look at Theewaterskloof, which is not necessarily part of that arrangement, but they pay. They pay. The debt for Eskom year on year is increasing. And we are saying there's a financial recovery plan, and I hear what the members say about phase 1 and 2 and so on, but Kannaland is not responsive. Kannaland is simply not responsive. So the debt is increasing. They don't prioritize, and it's not for the lack of trying. We have meetings with them. Our staff physically go there to go sit with the municipal manager and say, and the CFO, this is what you need to do. The Treasury goes with and say, what is this to do and so on. But what you find is there's not a will of council to do what they're supposed to do. And that's our concern. And so if you see there's instability in council with their functionality and their decision-making and so on, you can see and observe how that filters down into the administration. Because then the administration is not working as they should. And so the municipal manager of NIASA, for Kannaland said they don't want to implement the staff regulations now. They can do it next year with the new council. And we said, no, you will do it. And so in Kannaland, we have invested a lot of money. In Kannaland, we have sent the engineers. Kannaland has actually chased away some of the MISA engineers and said we don't want the assistance. And there's also allegations around Kannaland. I think there was a reference made to scarce skills and so on. We have now, I've petitioned the Provincial Treasury for a rapid response team. Maris has now moved over as a director of that, and we established a team. We've got funding for it so that we normally would deploy our normal staff, our normal engineers and so on, our normal directors to go and assist the municipality and so on. But we have now established a dedicated unit in the department, and we're busy filling those posts so that we say if there is a concern around a municipality that requires support, that we can actually deploy and dispatch the staff members, whether it's governance, whether it's finance, whether it's service delivery, engineering capacity, they then can go and support that. The challenge is we have raised concern, and I just had a meeting a week ago with the CSC in the Department of the Premier to say, how do you assist us fast-tracking the filling of the post? We've now agreed on a particular approach, how they can assist. And we have also raised this consistently in the PTM, where all the heads of departments are sitting together. And my understanding is that the Department of the Premier got additional funding, and they now employing additional staff to help with the fast tracking of recruitment and selection within the province, and especially those departments that are making use of the service level agreement the Department of the Premier. We try particularly the scarce skills to keep those officials within the department. We really try. When there's an offer, we try to match it, even to give better. And we try to convince the staff actually to say, we can't retain the staff because of the salaries, and officials do have ambition. The same with municipalities. We have petitioned the national government now for a number of years to adjust the salaries in municipalities, because the task level officials in municipalities are earning more than what directors and senior managers earn, and municipal managers. So that's why you see that people don't want to move. And we are now facilitating that entire process about the salaries in municipalities, because the salaries are not right. And we don't find people that want to go work in certain municipalities to go work on a 5-year contract, because the salaries are not market related. And Chairperson, at another time, we can provide you with a detail what this department in this province has done to ensure that the salaries are market related, which is not. And Sandra has spoken about 24-25. We are now behind for 2 years with salary adjustments of senior managers and municipal managers. And Minister Bradell has gone and said, Minister Slabisa, can you attend to this thing, please? We asked you nicely, we've written, we've arranged meetings and so on. And at the end, the Minister Bradell decided that he will sensitize Minister Slabisa about the dispute. And as Sandra has indicated, the upper limits were then published. Chairperson, there is also twinning arrangements in this province, where smaller municipalities are actually twinning with municipalities that are performing well. So you will have perhaps a Laingsburg twinning with Swartland. The national government will also ask us that some of the municipalities in other provinces would like to twin with municipalities in the Western Cape, and we are fully supportive of it. I think reference is made to oversight. And I said about a week ago to the Auditor General also, as a province, as a department, or as a minister responsible for local government, we do not have oversight. Nowhere in the law, whether that's the constitution or ancillary legislation, does the law refer to oversight. The law refers to 3 things, and that is to build capacity, to support, and to monitor. It doesn't talk about oversight, but in the natural course of the discussions, we refer to oversight, which we don't have. And therefore, if we ask municipalities to do certain things in law and they don't want to do it, Minister Bradell goes and approaches a court of law to compel a municipality to do what it's supposed to do in terms of the law. I have personally made many presentations at the technical MINMEC up north with the national department. Minister Bradell has made many presentations to say, grant the provinces additional powers. Grant the province additional powers, because currently the powers of provinces are limited, so that we can truly intervene where necessary, early warnings where necessary, and exercise through oversight as has been referred to in that. So I think we doing work in municipalities to support them, but obviously at times councils in particular, not necessarily the staff, councils necessary, don't do what's required in law, and therefore we now need to respond in terms of whatever appropriate measure is appropriate. But Chairperson, I do take note of the comments, and we will also reflect. I will also reflect on it with Minister Bradell in my one-on-one. It's valid comments, But I think in future, perhaps to just focus on some of the areas so that we can put some of the stuff also in perspective. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, HOD. Sorry, just before I open up for another round, just in terms of the specific question around those fraud and corruption charges, are you able to just expand a little bit on terms of what the charges are, a bit more about it, and also a response from the Hawks? Have you received any feedback from them in terms of the investigation?
Chairperson, at this point in time, I would not. I'm not in a position, although it has been shared. I would not be able to share that at the moment. We were on Friday with Minister Bedell and the Premier about it, and there's a meeting now set up with the law enforcement agencies as well as the police commissioner to deal with some of the matters that have been surfaced. So at this point in time, Chairperson, it's under investigation, but it is with the Hawks.
Thanks very much. I mean, would you be able to advise at least whether it is officials or office bearers who are involved, or both?
Chairperson, at this point, both.
Okay, thank you very much. Colleagues, can we open up for another round? Is there anybody else who wants to ask any questions specifically of the HOD or Dr. Greiling? We have Member Stoffel, Member Masipa, and Member Murray. We'll take those three again. Member Stoffel, then Member Masipa, then Member Murray, same as last time. Member Stoffel? Yes, you are audible.
And thank you very much for the response so far. And then also, thank you to the HOD and Ms. Greiling for indicating of considering some suggestions or proposals to them. Thanks for that. Chair, I just want to check in terms of consistency in the province, dealing with corruption within the province. I want to check from the department, in terms of the allegations from the city of Cape Town, is there any works, cases been sent to the works for further investigations? And is the status quo in terms of that corruption allegations the same as they indicated to NISNA? And then also the other municipalities, where they indicate whereby there was some irregularities in appointments. Then I'm referring then to Overstrand, where the MM goes to George and whatever and whatever. So when we talk about corruption within the province, are we going to focus only on the municipalities where our interest is? Or are we going to, as a department, focus on the holistical corruption within the municipalities? That's my question. And then will we also be transparent or keep the mode of transparency, like the way we put the transparency of Canaland and NISNA? Would really love the other corruption also to be transparent. And we really appreciate the response from, because we don't want to jeopardize the investigation process in these municipalities. But I will add or appeal to the department in terms of the consistency when it comes to this corruption. So I want to know in terms of the city of Cape Town. Then we go to and other municipalities, by the way. Then we go also to the issue of internal audit department within local government in the various municipalities. That is a department that I have picked up that is not really being strengthened in. And that's why we will find that we sit with this lot of ill discipline within the municipalities when it comes to their spendings, when it comes to compliance, because there is no emphasis on the audit department with internal audit within the department. What is the department doing about strengthening in this internal audit department within the local government? Because I think it starts there, because they are the people who are supposed to pick up all these irregularities and give a red light to the province if they cannot. It's beyond their control. So I want to know from the department. Then secondly, in terms of the different forums that is being established to assist the province, is there a way or some time that we as a committee can get a feedback report in terms, or a progress report in terms of these forums? It's like the monitoring and support forum, then you get a provincial capacity forum, and so forth. Can those people, with the identification that they have done in these various municipalities, at some time come to the committee and say, this is the shortcomings that we have identified in terms of capacity, in terms of monitoring. So we have implemented 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So can we have a proper, because I'm supporting it, but I'm just skeptical about the progress that is being made there, because we want to see progress in these municipalities when we implement and monitor, do the monitoring and assessing in these municipalities. So, Chair, if it's possible, can those people maybe at some stage give us such? Then I come to the indigenous register within the province. Yes, I agree. It's very low. And what I have noticed, most of the municipalities don't prioritize this issue. They don't put some effort in this issue. Whilst this is beneficial for our communities, our residents within our various areas. And to those municipalities who don't really comply, what is the department doing about those municipalities? What is it? Because we believe you can't have a population of 38,000 and your register is indicating only 2,000. Once your whole community is unemployed, there's no income, they are depending from social grants. So what is our department doing in order for us to get a satisfactory or satisfaction response in uplifting the living conditions of our people within our areas? What is the department doing in then? And then the additional powers. When we talk about additional powers, are we talking only about asking the department for additional powers to have more control over the municipality, like the bill that we almost implemented here in the Western Cape, wanted to implement it? Or are we really looking into the situation that we are faced with? Because I think the MEC don't need a bill or a kind of a law stick to say he must implement. He got the powers, as we speak, to do what he's supposed to do. So I'm going to ask the MEC to act where he's supposed to act, because at Neisner, there was no one who opened a case against Neisner. The MEC have implemented what he implemented and sent to the Hawks. Now, I'm saying whatever exercise he had done in Neisner, it should be done to all municipalities where corruption is. Why certain municipalities, a person must go and open a case? But when it comes to certain municipalities, they know what to do. So for now, thank you, Chair. I will pause there. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Member. Member Masipa.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the HOD. Just on the issue of the metro, my understanding is that there's robust MPEC oversight that play a critical role there. And obviously, in some instances, the national government or treasury, or SCOPA, they call the metro to account on their issues. And we definitely get those kind of briefings online and published everywhere. So I don't think there is an issue there in terms of the oversight. So, Chair, I just thought I will comment on that. But my follow-up question, Chair, relates to the issues that were raised by Dr. Greiling initially, saying that most cases involve allegations of financial misconduct. I just want to get from the HOD and obviously the Dr. Greiling with regards to what is the amount of this financial misconduct? What is what are these cases costing the municipalities from a financial point of view? I've gotten the reply with regards to the financial facility program that it pertains only to Saldanha at the moment. Am I correct that Stellenbosch is not part, or let's say Stellenbosch Drakenstein is not part of this program? It's only Saldanha. With regards to the municipal managers in terms of capacity, I see you are 89%, kind of what you call position filled. How do you compare nationally? 89% is okay, but maybe you are below national standard. If you can just share with us in terms of your vacancy at senior management level, how do they compare? Because, I mean, like I highlighted the worry with regards to Tiavat Skloof, with regards to a number of what you call the issues with regards to disciplinary here and there. How are we really finding ourselves in that space when we have got, senior management position filled, but we're finding that, there are problems at the bottom, it's leaking at the bottom. Thank you, Chair. That's it from my side.
Thanks, Member Masipa. And then finally, Member Murray.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the HOD and Dr. Greiling for their responses. HOD, I give you my full support and thanks for getting involved in the Knysna situation that you've actually gone out there. And it is encouraging that you are there because you know to see things for what it really is. And I have noted your responses in terms of the quality of councillors and the quality of the decision making by those councils. Mr. Chair, I just want to ask in terms of the response I received, the capital expenditure, thank you that you will provide us that particular breakdown. I just want to note that sometimes, Mr. Chair, the reason why we ask these questions is to get to the root of the problem. And we have many challenges in terms of planning. Municipalities are struggling to plan and spend their capital expenditure because there are land invasions. There are many factors that we need to keep an eye on. And that is why we interrogate these type of matters. But I wanted to ask in terms of the Cape Metro that got an unqualified, they received an unqualified report with findings in terms of, and it was linked to supply chain management or procurement. Wanted to know whether the department is getting cooperation from the Cape Town Metropolitan Municipality in terms of, resolving this particular matters that we need to keep an eye on. And then in terms of the, let's see here, I've made a note of the Kanaland matter. Now, Kanaland, Mr. Chair, I can see that the department has put in a lot of work in terms of supporting the municipality, including Knysna, but you don't get back a return on your investment there. And is it perhaps time that this committee considers, summoning the Kana municipality to appear before this committee in order to assist the department. They are asking for more powers. Yes, that is probably something that we need to look at, but I also see it as a desperation, a desperate call to resolve issues in the municipality. It's not just about powers, it's about resolving the difficult situation in which our municipalities are in. They are not responding. So perhaps that is something this committee later on in our resolutions need to take a look at, although we're going to have a challenge for this particular year, having the election in the next few months. And then my last question, Mr. Chair, all these efforts that are now being made to support municipalities, I want to hear from the department, knowing that this is an election year, to which degree will these efforts come to naught? Because on the 4th of November, it's almost like we have to reset municipalities again because there will be new leadership, new political leadership, new councillors. So to which degree, are we really working towards achieving a outcome that's going to benefit the municipalities, or is this going to be a disruption again, in your view and in terms of your experience? If there's an election taking place, prior to the election, all these supporting efforts that are being made, will anything come of it before the election? And how long after the election will we first start seeing, an improvement in these municipalities that are problematic? I'll leave it there. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, colleagues. If you indulge me, I was going to just take the three, but I see Member Adams has got his hand up as well. So we'll take the 4 questions. I'm just noting the time. So hopefully once these questions have gone through and we have the answers, we can then conclude this discussion, take a break and move on to the next one. But Member Adams, I'll give you the last opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chairperson, while we are rightly discussing municipalities with poor audit outcomes, our oversight must also be applied consistently. We cannot ignore the fact that 821 million allocated for housing in the Western Cape was unspent, while hundreds of thousands of our people are waiting on a housing list since 2004 for houses. A clean audit is important, Chairperson, but it does not put a roof over people's heads. When will this committee receive a full report on the reasons for the underspending, for the projects affected, and the accountability for these failures? Speaker, I'd like to Chairperson, I'd like to suggest that we have a briefing on this 821 million. In fact, on the underspending of the last 5 years, so that we can interrogate this, because this is an issue critically to our people who are waiting for houses and it's not delivered. So, Speaker, if possible, can we have a briefing that we can discuss the failures of the underspending of the last 5 years in regards to not delivering houses to our people, so that we can scrutinize also why the municipalities are not delivering? Because remember, we have George in Packersdorp here. There's houses that have been standing empty for more than 2 to 3 years. People are waiting for houses, like I said. So we must try to also look into that issues that is currently affecting our people's bread and butter because they don't have a roof over their head. I thank you, Chairperson.
Thanks, Member Adams. I see Member Wessels has his hand up. I have a feeling I know what he might be referring to. So Member Wessels, over to you just for that last question or input.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chairperson. Member Adams is more than welcome. This is the housing is obviously something that vests within the Department of Infrastructure, and local authorities is just implementation agents. So that is a Department of Infrastructure issue, so not really something for this committee. So I would suggest that he just maybe send something to me in writing, and then we can handle it through my committee. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much. I'm going to hand over to HOD Paulser then to respond, HOD and Dr. Kralem.
So,
Chair. Chair.
Sorry, Member Stoffel, is that a point of order?
Yes, yes, Chairperson.
What is the point of order?
Chair, can you protect us here? We don't want answers from the members of the committee. That's why we've got a department.
Sorry, Member
here.
Stoffel, Member Stoffel,
No, Chair,
all members,
can we-
Member Stoffel,
Chair,
all members,
I was
Member
being-
Stoffel,
I was
I'm on the
being
floor.
attacked.
Member
Can
Stoffel,
you
I'm on the
protect us?
floor. Member Stoffel, I'm on the floor.
Can I-
Member Vessels is entitled to give an input, and he gave an input.
Chair,
And he
can
was
you-
entitled
can
to
you
do
listen to
so.
me?
So each
Chair,
member
can
has
you-
had an opportunity to give their input.
Chair,
And now
can
we're
you-
going to go to take the responses. Is there a
Can
point
you
of
listen
order?
to me, Chair? It's a point
Yes.
of order.
What is the point of order?
Masipa have done it to me. I have asked about the city of Cape Town to the HOD. Then Member Masipa tried to answer from his angle to say this is not important. Now Member Vessels is doing the same thing to Member Brendan to say, but he can. Let the HOD indicate to say that is not in his scope because
Remember, that's not a point. Remember, that's not a point
Yes.
of order. Members
No,
are
but
entitled
can
to
you
do so.
protect
This
us,
is a
please?
discourse. This is a discourse and a discussion and a debate. Members are entitled to
no,
have
we are
opinions
not
on
here for
issues.
Masipa and-
That is the
and
point.
Vessels.
That is the whole point of what we do as politicians. So we've given each member an opportunity to ask questions and give inputs.
Chair, I've
I'm
got
now
my hand up.
just hold on one
Chair,
second.
Chair,
I'm now going to hand
Chair,
over to
Chair,
the
no, I've got
HOD.
my Chair.
Member Adams,
I've
do you
got-
also have a point of order?
Chair, you must not come here and try to be a chairperson to cover for the Democratic Alliance. You
Chair?
cannot do that.
Member Adams, can I
Chair.
ask that you please retract that statement?
No, I will not, Chair. You must not come and cover, Chair.
I'm
Member
not
Stoffels
covering
has
for
raised the
anybody. I'm
issue
giving
about
everybody
Member
ample
Masipa.
opportunity. I'm giving
Member
everybody
Stoffels-
ample opportunity.
Member Stoffels has raised
Right.
the issue about member Masipa.
Yes.
Member Vessels is trying to do the same with me. You are trying to cover
Member
for them.
Stoffel has raised the point of order, and I've ruled that that is not a point of order. Member Vessels is entitled to have an opinion on the matter, which he has done and he's voiced. HOD Paulser?
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me just respond to the first question of perhaps Member Marais. So in the past, Chairperson, what has happened is both the Standing Committee on Local Government as well as the Public Accounts Committee obtained an internal legal opinion from the legal services within the Parliament. And they had a view that the committees can actually subpoena municipalities to appear before it. So it is perhaps, I think from our side, we will support such a recommendation by the committee to call some of these municipalities, which the committee thinks should be appear before the committee, perhaps together with the Public Accounts Committee in Parliament. Chairperson, just on the elections, it is an election year. I mean, we've got extensive experience in this, and that's why we ready ourselves for the election. The run-up to the election, we'll see instability. We'll see councillors resign there, and I mean, you've seen it and caused a by-election there. Obviously, 9 months before before a local government election, or 90 days before, we don't have any by-elections and so on. But you see a period of instability. You'll see both councillors move. You will both see municipalities move. You would know that certain councillors have the view that they're not coming back. So there will be instability around it. You will hear that there are incoming councillors, and at times that also causes friction between incoming and existing, because some of the incoming mayors or deputy mayors or whoever they are currently in council. So it's characterized by instability, and obviously post the local government election, particularly around the administrative level, there is instability with because many of the contracts of senior managers and municipal managers come to end a year after the local government elections. So this is characterized by instability. Our job is to ensure that municipalities remain firstly stable, that service delivery continues, and that there is a smooth transition from the one to the new, from the old council to the new council. And therefore we have in the province what we call a election strategy, and we also have an implementation plan. But it's right, what the member says is normally characterized by instability, but we manage it to the best of our ability. And in the past, we were extremely successful. So we're also thinking, our evidence suggested when we started 2 years ago, there is a likelihood for more coalitions. And so what we've done is we've done work together with the University of the Western Cape with Hans Seidel to prepare documentation around coalitions. What we also want to do is, by law, 14 days after the IEC has declared the election, obviously they must convene, and then 14 days afterwards that the districts. So we are trying also to provide some kind of support in the event that there is difficulty to convene as a coalition and to conclude within 14 days, what support the department can, independently from external experts that work with mediation and conflict resolution and that kind of stuff, to assist those councillors in a particular municipality where that support may be required, just to fast track and to comply in terms of law, Chairperson. So just in relation to the other question, I think human settlements is not necessarily our responsibility. So if this committee or the other committee can perhaps ask the Department of Infrastructure to make a detailed presentation around it, although we work broadly together in terms of capital infrastructure. But if you talk about the housing grants and how they allocate the housing grants and the various services that provided, my suggestion, Chairperson, that you may consider maybe speaking to the Department of Infrastructure or otherwise the other committee. So just in terms of the consistency, the member has recommended some municipalities, they go and they actually make the cases to the Hawks themselves, and they provide with us the case numbers and so on. And I mean, we've got regular interaction with those municipalities to follow up and so on. So I know it has happened in the city of Cape Town where they've gone and laid the cases themselves. It has happened in municipalities like Theewaterskloof, where they've gone and actually laid cases themselves. So there's a number of municipalities that recognize this responsibility, and they'll go ahead and actually make that available and so on. And we also have regular feedback around it and to say what's the progress of it. Other municipalities, it is uncovered. There's various whistleblowers that write to the minister with allegations, with evidence and stuff like that. We've got our own forensic team in the department. They do a preliminary assessment. There's prima facie evidence of wrongdoing. And obviously we say, go hand over this to the police and so on. Any event where there's reluctance to do so, under the guidance of the minister, we then approach the police. So the member has also raised irregularities around George and Overstrand. So Chairperson, that is by arrangement. So the council, there has been in my understanding, there has been a appeal to the municipal manager of Overstrand, where the mayor has approached that mayor and that council to ask, can you deploy that municipal manager for three months? And it's a prerogative of that council to decide whether they want to actually allow that municipal manager to be deployed to to George. And it's a prerogative of the George municipality to determine whether they want to accept the municipal manager of Overstrand to work there. We are aware of that arrangements and so on, but we don't intervene because it's by arrangement of the two councils and the two municipalities. So there's no prohibition in law that municipalities can do that. Sometimes the minister is asked whether he knows of someone that can be deployed and so on. We will make certain CVs available to councils and so on, but we don't direct who they should appoint. They should consider the CVs and so on, and then they should decide. It's a prerogative of council to do that. Although in the case of Overstrand, we are aware of that. And then percentages about the internal audit. The minister has made presentations to the MINMEC about this. So the internal audit team in a municipality actually works and reports to the municipal manager. And it is paid by the municipality. And Minister Bradell has on numerous occasions said that is not good, because what is happening is the internal audit team or the auditor will then do what the municipal manager says he or she must do. And it sometimes is to not do the right thing and reveal where there is allegations of fraud and corruption and maladministration. Minister Bradell has taken it up in this province. He has taken up with the national government to say, can't the internal audit team in a municipality be independent and therefore be paid directly from the national government, whether that's National Treasury or whether it's that COCTA, to pay them. But we also train councillors about the responsibility in terms of internal audit. We also have sessions with that together with the Provincial Treasury. Minister Bartman also have her own session with the MMCs of finance in the province, where these things are explicitly presented and explained to those councillors that they should not interfere, and particularly in the internal audit. But the best thing in the view of Minister Bradell is to have internal audit independent in a municipality, and the remuneration be paid outside of that of the municipality, so that they don't be independent and do what they're supposed to do. On the forums, Chairperson, we can allow us to look into this, because there are forums and there are committees, and all that work are pulled together in a single report where we say, these are some of the challenges coming through, these are some of the capacity concerns, and these are some of the capability concerns. So allow us just to reflect on it and see how best to present that to the committee. And then the question about the indigents, obviously there's an equitable share, and we do a regular assessment of how the equitable share is applied and of the indigents register. And I'm going to just ask Sandra to talk about it, but we also have the dignity basket. And I'm not sure whether the committee had a briefing on the dignity basket, where we established that the free basic services that citizens, particularly the indigents, get now should be more. And that is what the dignity basket is saying. But we have detail of the indigents register, and we have an idea as to how they apply it, and whether they have 38 or 36,000 community members in the municipality. Chairperson, it does not imply that all qualify for the indigent benefit. Sometimes you raise this with municipalities and they say, you know what, but this is unconditional. Although we apply it for indigents, and between myself and Minister Bell, we have regular discussions around, and how that must be regularly reviewed, because people find jobs in the interim and they go off the indigent areas, or people lose their jobs and they need to be on the. So we encourage municipalities consistently to say, review your indigent register regularly, so that you can get people that should benefit from that, put them on the register so that they can benefit, because people fall off and people come on. But I will ask the Sandra to briefly talk about the indigent register as well as the dignity basket, Chairperson, with your concurrence. Thanks.
So HOD, I have just briefed the committee on the dignity basket in terms of what we are proposing, what the research has found in terms of what we're proposing. and our consultation currently with sector departments on how we can improve on that. Obviously, in the Western Cape, there are quite a few municipalities that even give more than the free basic that they should. In terms of the indigent policies, I think it should be understood that all our municipalities have got indigent registers and policies. The role that we play is as soon as the indigent framework at national is changed, we just have to ensure that our municipalities comply to that. And that's the analysis that we do. Obviously, there's a specific application process in each municipality with regard to access to indigent rates. And that's a process that the municipalities manage. So HOD, I think that's basically the question. In terms of the presentation, the assessment progress there is what we've assessed currently and what we are still going to assess in the province. I think just in terms of the question, most probably the 7 of the 25, it's not that there are 7 municipalities with registers, it's what we've assessed to date.
All right, is that the responses then dealt with from your side, HOD?
Yes, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, HOD. Colleagues, before we continue, Member Adams, I would just like to address you directly in terms of Rule 45, which is disregarding the authority of the chair or member's conduct is grossly disorderly. I would just like to request, in the interest of collegiality, that you please withdraw the statement that I am chairing in order to protect the Democratic Alliance. That is certainly not the case, and I would request kindly that you withdraw that statement.
Chairperson, if you go read what I said, listen again what I said. I said you cannot come and chair to protect the Democratic Alliance. I didn't say you are. So go check properly, please.
But can I ask that you please withdraw that statement so we don't have to go through the whole process of submitting things to the speaker and going through this entire process? Can I just ask that you please withdraw that statement?
So you don't want to go and listen to the chair? Is that what you're telling me?
Okay. Member Adams, I'm then going to ask, if you are not able to withdraw the statement, that you please remove yourself from the meeting.
Chair, I'll withdraw just to keep you happy to stay in the meeting.
Thank you, Member Adams. Member Masipa, you have your hand up.
Chair, thanks. I think Honorable Adams withdrew, but I just wanted to say that we shouldn't be casting aspersion on members, because we are participating here, making sure that we are really conducting proper oversight. And I heard what, members said about me trying to protect, maybe answering the questions. I wasn't answering the question. I was just making a statement, as I'm allowed as a member of this committee, to contribute meaningfully to the debate that is being carried out.
Member Masipa, thank you, Member Masipa. I don't want to get into a whole long discussion around this. I think the matter has been dealt with, and we can move on. All right?
Chair,
yes, Member Adams?
Why does Member Masipa have carte blanche to say whatever he wants to? He doesn't speak on a point of order, but when we raise our hands, you ask us what is the point of order, is the point of clarity, but Member Masipa seems to do whatever he wants to.
No, so it's not that at all. He wasn't speaking in terms of a discussion point that was taking place previously. He just raised his hand, and I went to him, and he made his point, which we have now dealt with, and I don't believe that we should be dealing with that point. So I don't believe it's a point of order, and in terms of that, we're not dealing with that right now. Member Stoffel, is there a last point on this before we take a short break?
Yes, Chairperson. Chairperson, I appreciate your ruling. And most of your time, your ruling is consistent. But there is this one problem that I have, and I think Member Brandon have mentioned it, to say members should allow us to put our view. and not trying to influence our view from their perspective. We bring our points here for the department to answer us because our constituencies is listening. And they want to know what the department have to say about these issues that we are raising. And you granted that to us. But there's certain members who want to overrule your judgment and your assessment within the meeting. So we cannot be quiet about it, Chair. So I appreciate your ruling, and your ruling should stand, Chair. Your ruling should stand. Member Masipa is defending where you already have ruled. Now he sparked the debate because I want to answer him, and I'm respecting you, my chairperson. But at a later stage, if that is not going to stop, it will look like we disrespect you, whilst we have great respect for you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Stoffel. Look, the goal is to try and ensure that we have an open discourse and that members are able to voice their opinions. I think you are correct. Our goal here is mainly to conduct oversight over the department and the entities, which I think we've done. But I also don't want to prevent members from being able to speak freely. And I do also think Member Wessels was offering an opportunity for a further engagement, which I know the HOD also did mention, and I hope that that is followed up on, because I do think that the housing question is a very important one for us to have, albeit not in this committee maybe, but certainly within infrastructure, it's definitely an important one. So thank you, members. I really appreciate the inputs. Can we then just break? The time now is 11:14. If we can return at 11:25, we'll then take the presentation on the readiness for training of councillors and the discussion and questions on that. Thank you.
municipalities. From November to December is our priority capacity building, and this is specifically per MMC area of focus. So there's priority training and support programs aligned to the municipal needs. January to February, we're focusing on support and mentorship. So we provide ongoing mentorship, coaching, and technical support to councillors. March to April in 2027, we'll continue our monitoring and evaluation just to see where our initiatives need to be strengthened. And then May to June, we consolidate and we plan ahead. So in terms of the induction rollout overview, it is a phased rollout. It is rolled out across municipalities, but in waves, and it's prioritized based on the readiness and capacity needs of the municipality. The target audience are all newly elected councillors, and they're inclusive of all genders, languages, and municipal types. The content is mostly roles and responsibilities, governance and legislation, financial management, service delivery, ethics and accountability, and community engagement. The delivery approach is we have a blended learning where we've got workshops, e-learning, and we've got resources available for the councillors to take home and read and further assist. There's practical and interactive and context-specific sessions held. So the expected impact is confident, informed, and capable councillors with stronger governance and improved service delivery outcomes. So as we've alluded, we've already had conversations with the South African Local Government Association, SALGA, on its National Integrated Council Induction Program, the ISIP. So we are ensuring alignment so that we complement and align with their approach. We avoid duplication and fragmented training. We support them in the implementation, and wherever we need to make a contribution, we will. The provincial priorities we've identified, and we'll share that in a next slide with yourselves. But we incorporate this obviously into the alignment with the ISIP. We coordinate portfolio-based training, such as, for example, on LED, and then there's functional area training across departments. Then there's continuity in terms of capacity building. Obviously, we've never stopped building the capacity of our councillors. There's always transversal training that's available, not only from internal sources, but also from external sources like the University of Stellenbosch and the Heinz Seidel Foundation. So we are trying to be responsive to the municipal and councillor needs. And obviously the municipalities themselves also have funding available and assist councillors when it comes to training. Right, so if we go on to the coordinate provincial contribution, I've already alluded to the roadmap on this slide, and also what we are going to do from a provincial perspective. In July, August, we are preparing our facilitators. September, October, the provincial delivery arrangements and program finalization will take place. November to December, it's going to be the local government elections, councillor data verification, and municipal onboarding. And then January to February, it will be the implementation of the SALGA ISIP in each of the provinces. And obviously, we're normally part of the conversations in different municipalities. And then it's the implementation of the portfolio-based induction from March to June. So this is the Integrated Council Induction Program of SALGA. It's their roadmap, and that's how they're going to roll it out. From resource mobilization, which have already commenced in October 2025, until the cleaning of the IEC data and enrollment of the councillors to November, December 2026. So the area of the provincial contribution, and this is the department, is municipal governance, ethical leadership, and councillor conduct. It's also the councillor roles, responsibilities, and oversight mechanisms. It's public participation and ward committees. It's integrated development planning and intergovernmental relations. It's municipal finance, performance, and accountability, which Provincial Treasury leads. It's the disaster risk governance and municipal service delivery functions, and then it's the operational planning detailed topics, facilitators and delivery times will be finalized through the consultation and program design process. Just in terms of the operational planning, we've obviously identified detailed topics. We'll identify the facilitators, delivery times, and these will all be finalized during the program design process. We believe that the provincial support will enhance the councillors' capacity in governance foundations, planning and development, financial management and oversight, community engagement and participation, oversight and performance management, risk and resilience. We will deliver, as we've said, through facilitator-led sessions, online modules and digital resources, mentorship and peer learning, and then practical tools, case studies and templates. At the end of the day, we want to empower our councillors to enable stronger governance, better outcomes for our communities. Thank you, Chair. That is the presentation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kralen. I think that's quite comprehensive and covers most of what we would be asking for, but I'm sure members have further questions. So colleagues, please raise your hand if you have any questions in terms of this very important process, which will serve to empower our new batch of councillors once they have been elected. So colleagues, any hands? Don't see any hands. Oh, we've got Member Stoffel. Member Marais. We'll
Yes,
take Member...
Chair.
Yes, Member Stoffel, go. I'll take Member Marais after you. Thank you.
Chair, currently it's very difficult to give any input in terms of the presentation because you don't know what you expected, you don't know what to expect, and but the only thing that concerns me, Chair, is that these new councillors will walk into the current municipalities with the current status. I think we should then weigh up the current status versus the councillors that is coming in, whereby you will find that new councillors won't really produce or given them much because of the hiccups that is within the municipality. So I think when we do the induction of these councillors or these, we should then also try to look into the situation of the municipality to make it easier for those councillors to get into a kind of an how can I say, a clean municipality, so that we can have a better evaluation at the end of the day of these councillors' performance, of these councillors' compliances, or this and so forth. So for me, as much as I want to participate in the discussion, I'm just skeptical about that. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Member Stoffel. Member Marais.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to Doctor for the information. Chair, I'm going to be very brief. I just want to know in terms of, the current challenges we've got in municipalities ranges from competency, but also to the point where we question the moral integrity of councillors. And when we, these programs, and I haven't had enough time to interrogate all of the information, but the programs from time to time needs adjustment in order to address the issues that are popping up on municipal level and in terms of municipalities. Wondered whether the department has had a review of any of the material that is being presented in light of the current challenges we've got with corruption, in terms of political interference in administration, the do's and do nots, in terms of those type of information and material. I think a lot of times people are in a space that they have not been before, but they are not wise enough to understand the implications of certain actions. So I wanted to know whether there was any review of the current material. When was the last review done in terms of what is being presented to councillors when they enter the public office? And are they really in that space where they understand the enormous task when it comes to being a person that has to function as a public office bearer, but also to keep in, stay in your lane in terms of, staying out of administration and not interfering with the administration. These type of things that we need to start perhaps incorporating into the programs that's being presented to councillors. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Member Marie. Member Adams.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to thank the department in terms of the induction that we're giving to councillors, because one could see really that it is needed in various municipalities. I am, however, a little bit skeptical about how we are training the councillors in terms of, when it comes to social media conduct and when it comes to community engagement, like how they should handle the public participation and communication with the residents, because I think that lacks in a lot of wards currently. But I'd like to thank the department for what they are doing, but maybe they should just level it up a little bit in terms of those points during the induction of councillors. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Adams. Really good points. Member Masipa.
Chair, this is not really a question. I just want to say, really, we welcome this program that the department has put together to support councillors. But, I think in health, or I think also in education, there's I think what they call rural allowances, for scarce skill. I was just thinking, just reflecting on the reports that we got, previously, and obviously the induction. I mean, the induction can only do so much, but I think there must be some certain level of incentives, and the HOD highlighted the issue of really people leaving to other, depart from their department to other areas because the money is better and so forth. So I also think that one of the areas that maybe need to be looked at is to how do you incentivize and retain quality people, but also including councillors as well, so that they can focus on their job, because incentives are really a driver as well in terms of performance and really job focus. Thanks, Chair. That's just a comment. It's not really a question.
Thanks very much, colleagues. HOD, you and Dr. Kralen, over to you.
Chairperson, I'm just going to just give a quick response, and then obviously Sandra can comment. So we have seen, Chairperson, from where we're sitting, there is a gradual deterioration of the quality of the councillors coming into local government. And we need to deal with the councillors that we were given, and we go the extra mile to ensure that these councillors are trained and they understand what the legislation requires from them and how they interact with communities and so on. So we've also then subsequently, on a previous occasion, and I think we will pilot it, we will do it again with the incoming councillors, some to the extent that we have funding, put a range of councillors through the minimum competency that's required for officials, for senior managers in municipalities. Almost more than half of the staff in the department and the provincial treasury attended. And if you go through all the 24 modules, it gives you an understanding how a municipality is run, how decision making is done, and so on. And I mean, you could see that the cream of the crop of those councillors that participated in that program of ours actually could make better decisions in the past, could do well in terms of oversight and performance. We have found and we observed that as time went on, councillors come in and councillors have the view that it's not necessarily about citizens, it's not necessarily about service delivery, but it's about power and how do we enrich ourselves and so on. And for that reason, with Salga, together with Hans Seidel, ourselves, the universities, we adapted our training to be modern, to be contemporary, to deal with some of the challenges that are emerging in municipalities. And for that reason, for some time, we focus on ethical leadership, about how councillors conduct themselves. It's for the interest of the citizen and not to enrich themselves, not to get involved in unlawful decision-making, unlawful activities. And we've run that campaign for quite some time. But obviously, we can train, but I think the ethicalness, if I can call it that is inherent. We can't send it to the university to obtain a degree or a diploma for ethical leadership or something like that. But nonetheless, we've done that consistently. We've done about oversight in terms of finances. And I hear also what the member says about our training for the incoming councillors. I mean, it is an unstable period now. You will see that some of the councillors will now be released to go do campaigning and so on. And then the focus would not necessarily be on governance and on service delivery and so on. And that's why department comes in and play that role to ensure that the municipalities are stable. But we hope, and this is normally our arrangement with municipalities, that the current administration and councillors concludes a handover report. So when the new council comes in, that the new council has a handover report. On the basis of that, understand what are the dynamics in council, but also what are the dynamics in the municipality. And from there can set their own priorities, what is important for them over the next 5 years. In the words of Minister Pradel, he also says often, you know, it's good and well to train councillors, but some councillors are just not trainable. And I will leave that with that. So we've done, Bemba Maria has spoken about ethics and so on. We've done it. We've adjusted with Hans Seidel, with the universities and so on. And I hear what Member Adams is saying. So the public participation and the stuff around the ward committees and the communication, it has been something that was, in some instances, in some municipalities are concerned. An extensive work has been developed around that, to include that in our training. So I'm not sure, Chairperson Sandra, do you want to provide further comments on some of the questions?
I can actually.
Okay.
Thank you. So just in terms of our learning material, obviously we've got an assessment at the end of each year. And whenever there's an evaluation process after each learning. So we then take whatever the comments are into consideration in preparation for our material. So we obviously review our material. Sorry, am I too? I see Member Adams' hand, Chair. Maybe I'm not audible. Okay, let me try again. So we do review our learning material based on evaluation after each training, and we therefore know exactly how to change it. We also obviously are very aware of our challenges, and therefore what we've put in place other than the ethical leadership is consequence management and fraud and corruption. Our focus is definitely there. Then in terms of our local government election strategy, Treasury has also indicated that they will be publishing in November the local government budget performance review, and they will also be introducing in the first municipal council meetings current finances in that municipality. Thank you, Chair.
I see we have a hand from Member Adams.
Yes, Chair. Sorry, apologies. I don't think one of the questions got really through and answered. I just wanted to ask in terms of the induction training of councillors, do they get trained on how they should conduct themselves as councillors on social media? Sorry, I think I've asked the question very vaguely. Apologies.
No problem at all. Are there any other follow-ups from any other members? Okay, Ms. Kralling, Dr. Kralling, sorry. Oh, sorry, Member Stoffel, hang on. Member Stoffel, yes, your follow-up?
I just want to check with the department chair in terms of the municipal managers. We have a challenge faced now within this current status of the municipality managers being given concurrency, others not being given concurrency. And when it comes to that, you don't know why the other one has been given and the other one is not been given, but with the same kind of records, whatever I can put it, I don't know how to put it, but let's say the Beaufort West one, and then you get the other one, you will get concurrency. So I'm not sure whether the department will get to look into that process. I think there is a need for the department to look carefully in that process. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks. Dr. Kralling?
Thank you, Chair. In terms of Member Adams' question, yes, SELGA has a program in place. It's just not part of the induction. It'll follow the induction. The induction already is quite overwhelming in terms of the amount of learning that has to take place for someone coming into the space newly. And then I hear not quite understanding the question on concurrency. So if the question can be just addressed to us, then we would most probably respond in writing.
Member Stoffel, are you all right to do that, to submit it in written format?
Chairperson, I can.
Chair, I think the HOD will can maybe try, because I don't want to go specific in incidents.
Yes. No,
I don't want that.
Yeah, I see the HOD is trying to make his point. So HOD,
Yes.
over to you.
Thanks, Chairperson. I note the question of the honourable member. So at times, municipalities do write to the minister to ask for concurrence, particularly the latter part of the 6 months. In other words, council decides for the 3 first months, whether that's a municipal manager or director in a municipality, and then by law, they should obtain the concurrence of the provincial minister for the latter part of it. In other words, the 3 months, making in total 6 months. And at the time when we get the information, the minister must apply his mind to the information before him. And it's not to say that the minister will refuse concurrence. I see the minister phones, but the minister would assess the information. So I'm going to give you the example. So in Beaufort West, there has been a request for concurrence and so on. The minister has asked additional information. The minister has asked the incumbent to provide additional information and so on. He had to go through various processes to obtain the information that the minister has asked. And based on the information that has been submitted, the minister then applies mind whether he can grant concurrence. I can give you another example. So in Naza, the municipal manager has worked in Theewaterskloof. The acting municipal manager has worked in Vito. He was due for a disciplinary process in Vito, but he resigned prior to the process being commenced. And then criminal charges were laid against him with the Hawks, and that is currently under investigation. So the official went into work in Naza, is now the acting municipal manager in Naza. And so they've also asked the minister to say, give me concurrence for the latter 3 months, the latter part and so on. Minister then Bradal then raised with the municipality to say, are you aware that there is a criminal case against it? And are you aware, and how did you consider that in council? And the minister is now waiting that kind of input, and then will make his final decision and so on. And in other words, what it also says, I mean, although these cases are against you, you're innocent until proven guilty. So the ministers consistently, in cases, I say not in all cases, the municipalities don't submit all the information. And sometimes the information is not submitted, and then the minister can't make a decision around whether he should concur or not. To put the minister in a difficult position. But we go through great lengths, Chairperson, to obtain the relevant information, to ask the relevant information, and then to submit that to the minister to apply his mind. Like, for instance, today, the one item on the council meeting was exactly to give the information that the minister has requested in terms of the acting municipal manager, to consolidate that and to give that to the municipality. So, although it's written in law, provided by law, but the cases are assessed by the minister on a case-by-case basis, Chairperson. Thanks.
Thank you very much, HOD. I don't see any other follow-ups, so I would like to then thank you, HOD, and the department for joining today and for providing us with those presentations, but also with those responses. I think they were very enlightening, and I think members have had a very good opportunity to ask those questions and any further follow-ups as offered by Ms. Dr. Greiling. Those can be submitted. So thank you very much, and you and your team are then released.
Thank you very much, Chairperson and members. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Sure. I'll give you a minute or so to do that. Okay. Then if we can look at our next item on the agenda, which is the minutes of the 28th of July. Those were distributed on the 3rd of August. So all members have received those. If I can just then ask if we have a proposer and a seconder for the adoption of those minutes. We have Member Wessels to propose. Do we have a seconder? Member Masipa, thank you very much. Colleagues, then the final item for us to discuss on the agenda very briefly. In anticipation of our meeting, our workshop at Kirstenbosch on the 18th of August, there is a request that the committee resolves to seek approval from the Secretary for the utilization of the corporate credit card to purchase a number of bracelets for delegates attending the discussion. The proceeds of the purchasing of those bracelets will contribute to conservation and job creation. It's effectively the purchase of 72 bracelets for members attending the workshop as a show of goodwill, as opposed to spending money on the regular corporate items that we tend to get from the provincial parliament, the provincial pens and things like that. So it's just to check if the committee is comfortable with that. Member Masipa, I see you have your hand up. Is that to suggest that you are happy? Is there anything you'd like to mention?
Apologies, Chair, it's legacy hand, but I do support the proposal. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Kutsia, do you want to maybe just give a tiny little bit more context to that? I see Member Wessels is also in support, but I just so that we're all on the same page.
Yes, Chair, let me just share it with you as well. Just want to find it quickly. I think it's this one. Chairperson, I hope this is visible properly.
Yes, it is.
Chair, it's a little bracelet. The cost of it is 70 rand, and then in support of various causes. This one, for instance, is to protect the child from malaria. There is one of Save the Penguins. And Chair, I just thought, us doing this whole workshop on succulent poaching, it will be a good reflection from the committee side if we support a project like this, and also maybe see if we could get protect the succulents in a program like this, so that some of the proceeds goes towards then looking at protecting succulents and the whole trade in that regard. It's like you indicated. Alternatively, is we're going to give everybody again a corporate item from us, which I think most of the people already received in the past. And I think this is just a very good reflection for WCPP and specifically the committee as well. Thank you, Chair.
Colleagues, are we comfortable with that? I saw Member Wessels put his hand up. Do we have anyone who's objecting to it? I see thumbs ups. All right. Okay. Colleagues, then that draws us to the end of our meeting for today. Thank you so much for joining. As mentioned, we have 2 more engagements before we go on the extended constituency break in anticipation of the local government elections. So our next engagement will be the succulent poaching workshop on the 18th. And then after that, we will have the Calvados Kraal visit. I see Member Maria has his hand up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate it. Mr. Chair, yes, I just wanted to, in terms of, our program is very limited for this remainder of this year. But I wanted to just mention to the committee, I think that it is time that the committee starts exercising additional, measures to our disposal when it comes to holding municipalities accountable. And we will have to, in terms of the rules, also explore the possibility of calling certain members within municipalities, whether it's the mayor, whether it's the management, to appear before this committee and to give account to us in terms of, the situation that continues to decline in terms of Kanaland and municipalities that are not performing at all. Now, the challenge, I know it will be in terms of where do we find the time to do that between now and the election? But I do think it's something that this committee must take into account, and we must support the municipalities that are doing their utmost to help municipalities who are just not cooperating. And then it's up to this committee to decide who will be called to and summoned to appear before this committee to give account. And local government is a very important sphere of government, and we must exercise our utmost and all the powers that we have in order to improve the situation on the ground. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Member Maria. And I think, yes, I mean, striking that balance is very important, as you mentioned, taking into consideration that our oversight is strictly over the executive that has oversight over local government effectively in a way. So it's getting that balance right as well. But certainly, yes, trying to see where we can fit that in between now and November, I think is going to be quite tricky. I know there is an NCOP local government week that's coming up, as I understand, the same week that we have that succulent poaching engagement. And I think that might also be an opportunity for members to attend there. That's obviously only one section of the broader Western Cape set of municipalities. But yes, this constituency period is a challenge in terms of us being able to gather. Member Stoffel.
Thank you, Chairperson. I just want to add on the resolution of Member Mare, we can maybe extend the departments or the committees to include SCOPA. I think with these municipalities, when we been granted that opportunity for them to come and account to us, SCOPA should also be part of it, so that we can go into detail to the irregularities of that specific municipalities, and they must answer. And even I want to support the MEC office through the HOD to say it's correct that what they have done to the of Kanaland. Where a municipality have to comply, they must comply. They can't tell us they are not going to do this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I want to extend it to even SOPA must be included in that meeting. And I know because of time, we are really under pressure, but we need that discussion with those municipalities. And I want to say, let us not concentrate on 1 or 2 municipalities. Remember, the AG have identified 12 municipalities in yellow. Now, my understanding, if you are in yellow, that's either you are busy deteriorating, or we can then make sure you are not reaching that level. So those municipalities must also be cautious and be informed to say, as a committee, we are watching you. This is so that we can be with the MEC at the end of the day and not look like we are fighting against the MEC. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks very much, Member Stoffel. I think both those points from Member Maria and yourself will be noted in terms of our final resolutions and the comments therefore. Colleagues, I don't see any other hands. I think then that wraps up our meeting, and enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. And I'll see some of you members in Member Masipa's committee in an hour or so. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye.
Thank you, Nomfundo. Much
Sharp, yeah.
appreciated. Thank you so much.
Sure.
We'll chat later.